Peace be with you. Let us all go through a reading from the Bible and grow with its teachings. Please share to your friends and loved ones so that they too will benefit from the word of the Lord. Thank you, and may God bless us all. James chapter 3 verse 13 to 18. Who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom. But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from heaven but is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness.
This passage establishes the existence of the two wisdoms, the one from above, the heavenly, and the other from below, the demonic. This also contrasts the fruits of these wisdoms. Saint James, in this scripture, begins with a question: who is wise and has understanding among you? Saint James is asking who has wisdom and understanding. People cannot merely think they have wisdom. Wisdom must be shown in action. The evidence of humble, meek wisdom is shown in good conduct. We prove which wisdom we have by our actions. Saint James is asking us to evaluate who not only knows what is right but also practices what is right. Good conduct is the inevitable outgrowth of true wisdom. Wisdom is revealed by the way one lives his or her life. Not only are we to have good conduct, but we are to practice this good conduct in meekness. Meekness is being defined as, in humility, gentleness, and mildness, but not because of weakness. It implies that power and strength exists but it has been placed under control. Humility, gentleness, and mildness comes from the fact that power has been put under control.
In verse 14, St. James also shows us what wrong wisdom looks like. But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. This is not the wisdom that comes down from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder and every vile practice. If a person has envy, jealousy, and selfishness in the heart, that person is living a lie, living in a way that denies the claim. Acting with jealousy and envy shows that we do not have godly wisdom. Where does envy, jealousy, and selfish ambition comes from? These comes from having a sense of one's self-importance. These attitudes comes from believing that we must look out for our own interests. These attitudes comes from seeing others receive what we think we ought to have. Worldly wisdom says, I will take care of myself. Worldly wisdom says, I deserve this, and I demand that. I demand respect. I deserve attention. This is how the world teaches us to think and act. But St. James condemns such thinking. He says that this wisdom is not from above, but it is earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. When we act and think like this, we are acting like we are people of this world, and not of Jesus. We are no longer thinking godly. We have limited our vision and thoughts to the things on this earth. We are ignoring the riches of heaven and are merely thinking about the temporal things of the earth.
Further, St. James calls this wisdom unspiritual. We are not acting or thinking spiritually, but naturally, and St. James calls this worldly wisdom demonic. What a statement! You think that you are of God when you act like this. You are not of God, you are demonic. You are of the devil, not God. Stop fooling yourself. Stop lying to yourself. Are we getting the important point? Godly wisdom is not the wisdom of the world. Godly wisdom is nothing like the wisdom that comes from this earth. In verse 16, St. James describes the result of this worldly wisdom. When we have jealousy, envy, and selfish ambition, there will be disorder and every vile practice. St. James described for us various characteristics that will test us to see if we have the wisdom that comes from above. The first characteristic above all else is purity. The pure life is clearly a life that is obedient to godly wisdom. Nothing shows wisdom from below than a life of impurity. We are lying to ourselves if we think we have wisdom and understanding but are living an impure life. Further, why would we listen to the wisdom of people who are leading impure lives? How foolish to listen to their instructions. Pure living shows godly, spiritual wisdom. If we truly have wisdom, the wisdom that comes from above, the wisdom that is not destructive and unspiritual, then we will be peaceable, gentle, and open to reason. Those with the wisdom from above listen to others. They are teachable. They have power under control. They are gentle, humble, and peaceable.
St. James says that those with godly wisdom are full of mercy and good fruits. We do not have the wisdom of God and cannot claim to have godly understanding when our lives are not full of mercy and good fruits. Can your life be described as full of mercy? Can your life be described as full of good fruits? Remember how St. James began this teaching in verse 13. Your good conduct shows the meekness of wisdom in your life. So where is the good conduct? Where are the merciful acts? Where are the good fruits? We must think about being full of mercy and good works today. When we rise tomorrow, Lord willing, we must think about what good works and merciful acts can we do today. This will show that God's wisdom is at work in our lives. The fruit of these qualities is righteousness sown in peace by those who make peace. That when we have godly wisdom that is pure, peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy, full of good fruits, unwavering, and sincere, then we are producing the righteous life that God demands. But that righteous living only comes to those who make for peace. This matches the contrast St. James made earlier where he taught us that worldly wisdom leads to disorder and every vile practice, as in verse 16. But listening to the wisdom of God leads to the righteous life that God requires. So, which wisdom leads our lives? Are we following the wisdom from above or the wisdom from below? It is easy to know which one we are following. Look at our life conduct. Look at our character and attitude. If we have jealousy, envy, and selfish ambition, then we are lying to ourselves if we think we are following God. We are following the wisdom of the world. Those who follow God show it by their good conduct that is full of purity, peace, gentleness, and mercy. Live the righteous life that God demands from us. Please help spread the word of the Lord by sharing this video. Again, thank you and may God bless us all always.